even a guy like if they want to change the pace guy, maybe a guy like a Naheem Hines from NC State, who's a guy that's more of in your Danny Woodhead type of mold, a guy that can be a pass catcher out the backfield as well. So and he gives them versatility at that third running back spot.
Yeah, Hines intrigues me a lot, actually. I think he's like he's a weapon, isn't he? You can utilise him in different ways, which is what Gruden generally likes to do with his running backs. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if we went in that direction purely on the fact that he can catch out the backfield. And also he's got that change of pace to, change a game. At the moment, I look at our running back group and, you've got Marshawn Lynch and Doug Martin, who are your traditional sort of running backs who are going to fight for yards, but they're not really going to show that burst and break away and take it to the house. I'm looking for that one guy who's got that little bit extra elite speed, if you want to say that, and a bit more elusive.
Yeah, and that's definitely what Hines brings to the table. He's a guy who can split out wide as well and using a slot as a receiver. So he's an ultimate weapon out of the backfield. Yeah. And he also gives you value as a return specialist as well.
Yeah, he's about 5'8", isn't he? 5'9" or something like that.
Yeah. I think you measured 5'8", 197 in the combine.
Yeah, so he's not like the tallest, but what he does have is his hands are very good, catching out the backfield, quick. And to be honest with you, he plays tougher than he looks as well. And I like that. I like that a lot.
Absolutely. I'm right there with you.
What about this cornerback class? How many first-round grades do you have and second-round grades? Is it a top-heavy or is it deep? What are your thoughts on this?
I think it's both. I think he's very top-heavy with a lot of talent up top, and I think it's very beefy in the middle and in the late rounds. This is one of the deepest cornerback classes in recent memory, in my opinion. Guys at the top, obviously, Jair Alexander, Denzel Ward, Josh Jackson, Mike Hughes, and Isaiah Oliver. Those are probably your guys that will go in the top 45 picks. And then you talk about that next tier with Carlton Davis, MJ Stewart, Dante Jackson, and some more, nickel corners like Duke Dawson and Perry Nickerson. So you have all different types of flavors or a variety of corners in this draft class.
Yeah, it seems like that a smart thing for the Raiders to do would probably go, if Roquan Smith is still there, go with Roquan Smith just because of, you can't find another Roquan Smith later on in the draft and get a cornerback in the second round.
I think that would be a good option as well.
Yeah, I like Dante Jackson a lot. I think if you can pick him up in, round 2 to 3, I think he's got that elite speed that the Raiders lack to keep up with your Tyreek Hills. Players like that. We always struggle against these players because they're just so quick. Matching him up with someone who's
Tyreek Hill's in that division too. So
yeah, absolutely. You need a guy that can run with him, and Dante Jackson will definitely be an answer there.
Exactly. I mean, he ran a 4.32 at the combine, and I actually think he's quicker than that. I mean, obviously these are just tests to do sprinting, but I think he is a lot quicker than what he showed at the combine and at his pro day. I can see him being one of the, the quickest players in the NFL.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
Hey Jordan, before we let you go, could you just compare Denzel Ward and Jair Alexander and who's a better fit in what system, or are they both scheme versatile?
Yeah, I think they're both your typical press man-to-man type of corners, guys that have a lot of swagger, a lot of want to, and they have that mental makeup that you love to see in cornerbacks. Guys, I like to call them junk talkers. They love to get in your face, and they're not scared to back down from you. Jair Alexander's a little bit bigger than Denzel Ward, weighs a little bit more as well. I think they both measured at 5'10", but Jair Alexander has about 15 pounds on Denzel Ward. Now, they're both versatile as far as they can play outside or in the nickel, in the slot, so they both have versatility, scheme versatility as well, but I think both are your typical press man-to-man corners. Now, Denzel Ward, I think, is a little bit better as far as his technique and his hips, but I think Jair Alexander has a little bit more upside, and Alexander brings that versatility or that asset as a punt returner as well. So both of them, I think, will be fantastic pros, but I have Jair Alexander as my top-ranked corner right now because I like his upside a little bit more than Ward's, because I think he competes a little bit better at the catch point as well.
Yeah.
Got it.
I mean, there's a guy we haven't spoke about in the secondary, Derwin James.
Yeah, I'm a big Derwin James fan.
Yeah, I mean, for me, he's arguably the best player in the secondary in this draft.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I wouldn't be mad at that at all if you made that assessment.
No, I mean, I was watching tape on him. We're going to obviously run through the cornerbacks later on in the show, but he just jumps off at you on his tape. He's just an all-action. He can line up anywhere and do a job for you, and because he's got the height and and the power and the speed, it's he's
Absolutely.
the sort of player the Raiders could do with in the secondary, because he's a game wrecker and a game changer for me.
Absolutely. And the one thing that I love about Derwin James is that he brings that attitude and that identity to the defense that he's on, like a Cam Chancellor does in Seattle. And I think that's something that the Raiders defense has been missing outside of Khalil Mack. They don't have that tone setter on the back end of their defense. And I think Derwin James would bring that type of attitude and identity to their secondary.
Yeah, he's a guy there as well.
Yeah, I looked at it, and the Raiders haven't really had a corner or a safety who can really get to the quarterback and rush the passer. When we're doing these blitz schemes and lining up in the nickel, he would absolutely change the Raiders' defense for me.
Absolutely, and that's the type of presence that he brings, and he did it at Florida State as well. And I think the world of Derwin James off the field as well. He's a guy that's very involved in the community as well, so very humble individual as well. So I think he would be a fantastic fit for Raiders Nation. Yeah,
suits Gruden down to a T, I think.
Yeah.
Definitely.
All right, man. Thank you so much for giving your time. Appreciate it. Everyone go follow Jordan Reid at JReid Draft Scout on Twitter and climbingthepocket.com. Thanks again, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you guys for having me.
All righty.
Cheers, Jordan.
All righty then. We are now, I think, doing our final analysis of the draft prospects. Cornerbacks this week, man. Hey, are you excited? Just one more week, man.
Yeah, I know. It's been too long waiting for the draft.
They got to move it up more so they can start I think they should start the OTAs with the other players, right?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. I think it would make sense to have all the prospects come in with the veterans and get an early start.
Yeah, and we don't have to keep going through these mock drafts I'm tired of these mock drafts. I don't know how many mock drafts I've looked at. Like, I'm at work, I'm like, I'm not going to do any more mock drafts. Like, 2 minutes later, I'm doing a mock draft.
Oh, don't. I'm constantly doing a mock draft. Drives you insane after a while.
Yeah. It's just a good exercise. Just a little fun, that's all.
Yeah, of course.
Hey, so we got there's a lot. I went through the cornerbacks. You went through the cornerbacks. There's a lot of first-round caliber guys here.
Yeah.
So we're going over Denzel Ward, Carlton Davis, Minkah Fitzpatrick, Derwin James, Isaiah Oliver, Jair Alexander, Mike Hughes, Josh Jackson, Anthony Averett, and Dante Jackson. So obviously there's safeties in there as well. We didn't look at the guy from Stanford, Justin Reid. He's pretty good as well. They say he's borderline first. I watched one game of his. He plays the slot too. He's kind of like Minkah Fitzpatrick in that way.
Yeah,
but we just don't have time to watch every prospect. So
no, it's coming towards too close now. Obviously, we've got lives as well, so. But but no, I mean, we've done the priority positions really, on defense, which is the main priority.
Yeah, one of the main reasons we want to do it because we don't want to just rely on so-called experts. You know what I mean? We want to have
exactly.
We want to have our own say because a lot of times they're wrong anyways. So I'm like, you know what? Exactly. Let's just do it. Oh, hey, did you hear about Lamar Houston? He was in the building.
Yeah, I did actually, and some people were a bit pessimistic about that, but I actually wouldn't mind that move just for depth. And to be honest with you, he's been moved to linebacker. I think it was over the last couple of years. And last year he played 10 games and got 5 sacks. So, that is good production, for
and it's mainly
a guy like that.
He's a run stuffer. I think that they didn't give him a contract. Just wanted to work him out, see how it goes. Maybe after a draft, if there's still a need, they'll bring him in. He's a good run stuffing guy, but
it's all options in the end of the day, isn't it? If you can get him on a veteran minimum, then why not? There's no guarantees he's going to make the full roster anyway, but it's good just to have the come in and compete and compete with other people, and that might improve the other people to compete even more so.
Anything happening in the other fronts?
No, not that I've heard. I've not really seen a lot, to be honest with you. I see that Maurice Hurst coming for a visit.
Oh, Roquan too. Roquan Smith and Maurice Hurst, they both came in for a visit.
Yeah, but the Raiders don't tend to pick the guys that come for visits, so I would take that with a pinch of salt. If anyone's thinking, they've got him in for a visit, they're going to select him. No, it doesn't work like that. They have to fulfill a certain amount of visits, I believe.
Well, they have a max 30 visits. They get 30 max.
Yeah,
visits.
Exactly. Yeah, so they want to utilise every single one of those realistically, don't they? They want to get people in and have a chat with them, work them out, and go from there.
All right, let's get to the cornerbacks. Before we break each of them down, I'm looking at the numbers from the combine. Obviously, the 40 time is probably only really matter for cornerbacks because they have to keep up, obviously. And I took a list of like the top 6 or 7 cornerbacks, and had a baseline. So the top cornerbacks in the NFL: Jalen Ramsey, Marshawn Lattimore, William Jackson, Aqib Talib, Darrelle Revis, and the slot guy from Denver. What's his name?
Chris Harris Jr.
So I took all of them, and I took out their lead in smallest 40 times, smallest 10-yard splits, and 20-yard shuttle, and I came up with a baseline, the number that you need to be effective in the NFL. I mean, be a top tier, not effective, be a top tier cornerback in the NFL. 40 time, they all had a 40 time of under 4.43, and 10-yard split, which shows acceleration, under 1.52, and a 20-yard shuttle of under 4.2. By the way, Darrelle Revis had some ridiculous numbers, but anyways, and I compared those to the cornerbacks coming out this year. In the 40 time that ones that beat the mark was Denzel Ward, Jair Alexander, Josh Jackson, Anthony Averett, and Dante Jackson. Dante Jackson and Denzel Ward had 40 times of 4.32. It was really fast. And Carlton Davis, Minkah Fitzpatrick, Derwin James. Minkah and Derwin are more like safeties and slots, so I didn't really emphasize them. But Carlton Davis was at 4.44, which isn't bad. It's just around the area.
It's not far away.
Yeah. The slow guys were Isaiah Oliver, the 4.5, and a 1.6 10-yard split, which scared me a little bit. So I dropped his grade. I guess his grade should maybe drop a little bit just because of that. I don't know, his long speed and acceleration. And Mike Hughes ran a 4.53, which isn't ideal. And in terms of arm length, Anthony Averett had an arm length of 30 inches and 30 and a quarter inches. And Dante Jackson only had an arm length of 29.5 inches, which is pretty small. 20-yard shuttles. Jair Alexander had really good 20-yard shuttle. He had the best 20-yard shuttle out of everybody. All the top-tier cornerbacks and the cornerbacks that we listed tops in the NFL. Under 4 seconds. He's the only guy I've seen under 4 seconds, which is really good. 3.98. Anthony Averett had a 4.4, which is pretty bad. So those are like the combine numbers just to keep it eye on. You don't want a guy that's